Good morning, guys and girls. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at the best way to create a automation framework. If I can just ask you to like, comment and subscribe, I will be uploading videos on topics. The reason why I'm creating these videos is after looking at many different videos, different platforms out there what provide information on creating automation using Selenium C#, it is very limited and very confusing to those that are just starting out in automation, that don't quite grasp the language of C#. Now, what the benefit of these videos will do is you don't need to know C#, as we will be talking through it, we will be going through it, and you'll see everything that you need to know. So first things first, we just need to go to our Visual Studio. Now, I'm currently on Visual Studio 2019, so what we want to do is we want to create a new project. Once we create a new project, we want it to be a class library. This is where everything's going to sit. Now, the class library, I'm just going to name it Test Automation. And then I'm just going to call it Demo Video. Just for these videos that I'm going to teach you and then walk through the best way to create one. Just to let you know, these videos will be based on the cleanest way to create a framework. That's where you will be calling in methods and not just writing them all as tests. Within the tests themselves, you will be calling methods. This is just an easy way to be able to maintain your code. If you do have any enhancements, you just need to update the current method that you'll be using, or create a new method and implement that. So I'm just going to save mine in the location of repos. So once we create it, it's going to just start to create the framework that we need. Now that we've created our solution, I'm just going to delete this previous class here, and just so we can start from scratch. So under this solution, I do need to add a new class library. So what we're going to do is add another project under this solution, and it's going to be another class library, and this one I'm just going to call TestFramework. This is where all our pages are going to sit, where we're going to start calling our methods from. So if I just delete this as well, and to start from scratch, so the first thing that we want to do is get all of our NuGet packages. You may not use them all. It's best just to have them, because you can then call them in where there's a failure. So I'm just going to start off at the top solution level, and we're just going to go to manage NuGet packages for solution. In here we've currently got NETStandard.Library installed. If we just go to a browse, and then I'm just going to change the package source to all. If you are doing this for a business, I'd just double check that you can use open source NuGet packages. Now, the first one that I think works great is Faker.net. Now, Faker.net just creates all random data, so that when you are creating tests, you can have them generate their own data using this Faker.net. So you'll have no hard-coded strings, or if you do have hard-coded strings, they'll be very limited. Now, if I just install this, I'm going to install it over both of the projects. As you can see, I've got no errors and no warnings. So I'm just going to continue to install the NuGet packages that I need. This is the best way to do it. Get them all started, so then we can move up. I will put a description of each NuGet package you need to install. You can either go and copy and paste them, but once they're all done, we'll reconvene. So now that I'm installing the last required NuGet package, as I say, I'll put a list in the description so you can just follow. You won't be using them all right now, but as we move on, we will be looking into where we will be using them. So now that I've done, I am just going to Control Shift and save, which will save everything that I've done, and I'm just going to build it just to check that I've got no errors. So as you can see, the build was successful. So what do we need to do now? Well, what we want to do is start to compile our solution. So the first thing that we need to do is create a browser class where we're going to call the browser, and it's going to determine what arguments are going to be used when running the tests. The way I'm going to create the browser class is whereby if we have a debug or release, when we select release, we can run it in a headless Chrome browser. If we select debug, a screen will pop up and it'll do it all on your screen. So the first things first is under Test Framework, we're just going to create a new class. So we're going to add new item, or we can just select class here. So once we select class, we're just going to call it browser, because it's a browser class. So we're just going to need to make this public so that all of our methods that we're going to use or selectors will be able to call it. Now, so we're just going to call in the WebDriver. Driver. So now what we need to do is call this into our class. And we're going to use OpenQA Selenium. So once we've done this, we're just going to go public browser WebDriver. Now what we need to do is we need to get it. So get return WebDriver. So now we've got our little main pieces. We're then going to actually create our browser that we want to do. Now it is going to call in from the app config, etc., which is our next step. So once we've done this, we're then just going to public switch void selected browser. Now what we want to do here is we want public static void, apologies. Now what we want to do here is we want to create, so it's going to be a method, but we want to create a string. So we're going to put a string in here, and this is what it's going to look for. So we're just going to go browser, we're going to go switch browser, and this will, if you start to cross browser test, you'll be then able to add in Firefox statements, Internet Explorer statements. But what we're going to do is we're just going to focus mainly on Chrome at the moment. So we're just going to go case, which is Chrome. Now what we want to do is we just want to state when we're going to do it. So if I just go here and just type hashtag if debug, then what it's going to do is it's going to pull this setting here. So if this is debug, we're going to be able to do it. So then what we need to do is Chrome options, Chrome options, which is options equals new Chrome option. So now what we're going to do is, based on our options, we're going to add arguments. So we're going to go options, add arguments. This is going to be a list, so we need to go new list. In there we're going to go string So now what we need to do is open our curly braces, and we're going to state them by speech marks, and we can create a list here just with using commas. So we need to disable GPU, quotation marks, so what we need is we need a no default browser check, so that way the system doesn't come into the window frame and affect any tests we may be running. So we just want to add that. The next one that we definitely need is we need to add the ignore certificates. So if your certificate is out of date, or you don't have one for your test environments, it's just going to ignore it. We want a no sandbox. So what a no sandbox does is it's just telling the system that it is a test, but it does need to continue. So the next one I'm just going to comment out, and the reason being is this is only needed if you are currently working in an Azure environment and you are running a pipeline from DevOps that automatically runs this, because you can create pipelines and releases based on your automation framework. Now if you don't do this, it's fine, but the reason why I comment this in, why I add this in and comment it out, is so that when I am coming to test how it will run within a DevOps environment, I can still mimic the window size. So we're just going to go window size. Now the size for a DevOps agent is 1038 by 600. But what we'd usually do is for the maximization, we want our window size to be, just bear with me, window size and we want it to be 1920 by 1280. This is just going to replicate a large screen. You can set these to what your screen sizes are, or you can change this based on user experience. So if a user's using a small screen, that'll be the case. But we'll also, what we're going to add is we're just going to add another one, which is start the screen maximized. So regardless of the screen size, it will maximize to the screen that you're currently using. And we just need one final one here, which is disable SHM usage. From here, we just need to underscore WebDriver that we created earlier equals new ChromeDriver. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find out where our ChromeDriver is actually stored. Now, a lot of people that I've seen do hard code this string to your local machine. Now, I don't like doing that. I don't like hard-coded strings if they don't need to be used. Now, what we will do is we're just going to find the main point. So we're just going to type in path, not get directory name. That's just changed. So if I go path and then implement the correct one using System.io, it will give me the option. So get directory name, and then what we're going to do is we're going to assemble assembly dot so using system reflection, get executing assembly. So that is a method, so we need our brackets. A method uses brackets, and then from there you have your curly braces, which then dictate what part of code it's going to run. So we need to get the executing assembly, but then we need to get the location. So we're going to close our bracket, and then we're going to select options. Now, this one is the option arguments that we've just added. So that way it's going to run the browser with the added extensions. So now that we've got debug, what we need to do is we need to create an else statement. So if it's not debug, we need to dictate what it is going to do. So this being within the release, we need to make sure that we are going to silent launch. So what we're going to do is we're going to add Chrome options, The reason why this is grayed out is because it's not picking up these. So the way to view this, just while you're writing it, just to make it clearer, we're just going to switch it to release, and then it'll switch it to pick up the correct ones. This is how you know if you've got the code right, because it will switch based on your setting of release and debug. So we're just going to do the same. This time we're going to add a few extra. So what we need to do is we we've got the arguments and list string, but now we need to add in a silent launch, no startup, and we're going to call it headless. We do still have our commented out screen size, and this is just so when we're running in DevOps, we can then state what the screen size is, so we know how it's going to perform when we do a release. So once we've got our basis for our Chrome driver, what we need to do then is we need to state what our URL is going to be. So it's going to be public static string, and then we're just going to go base URL, then we're going to go get set. Now what a semicolon does is it finishes that line of code. So where a line of code finishes, you need a semicolon, and it's just to end that line of code so it can move on to the next. Once we've got our base URL, we then need to navigate to the URL. So the best way to do this is go public static void navigate to URL, and we're going to type in string browser. Now if you don't know about camel case is within a method you don't have capital letters at the start. So for example, if we open our curly braces, if you want to create a variable, you're going to go var navigate to URL. You can see that this has a lowercase n for November. The reason is this is called camel case. In your method name, we don't use this type. So it's just normal capitalization, it's clean code, it's easy readable, but within this method what we need to do is we need to get the selected browser. This is a method as we've created, and if you press F12 it will take me to the browser. So we want browser, and then in there we're going to go browser, then we're going to go WebDriver.url equals base URL, and from there it does need an end if, so all we need to do is end if. There we go, and it's just cleaned that code up. So we just need to what we want to do is RG, Control and RG. What this will do is this will clean up our using methods. So now we've got our base for what we need, we can then go and create our app config. We need the app config just so that we can dictate what the browser is, what the base URL is. So what we're going to do is under our actual test project, we're going to add a new file, new item, and we just need to type in config, and it's an application configuration file. So within here, what we just need to do, we've got our configuration, and from here we just need to add in app settings, and we're going to add key equals, we need this one to be browser, and the value is Chrome, which we want to use, equals Chrome. These do need to match what we have put in the browser. So we just need a finish on there. Then what we need to add in is our base URL. So we need to add a key, which will be base URL. And what value are we going to have? So the value for this purpose is we're going to just use Google. So our value will be have a straight equal sign there. So the value is www.google.com, and then we need to finish our line. Now that we've done this, we can just Control Shift and save, and we have our base for our solution. Moving forward, what the best way to do is create folders under here. That will be the next video. Now, from the next video, we'll be learning how to create methods on under the framework to be able to call in those methods within the test. I hope you all learned something today, and I hope you rejoin me on the next video in creating the tests and methods. Thanks for watching. Sorry about that, guys. One final thing, once we have done our app config, we just need to navigate back to our browser, and we just need to add in an end if statement, as we do have a slight error here. And what this is we just need to add in an end if statement using hashtag end if, and then we just type in break and our semicolon. This will fix the issue of the error message that people may have been getting. So if we just rebuild that, and we can get rid of that one. So we will just be changing the end if statement from the bottom to line 65. Thank you.